I mean, Iran's, again, I'm not, it's like common. Here's what Iran said it's going to do. Iran's doing what it said it's going to do. And then people act, oh my God, Iran did what it said it's going to do. They're not making idle threats. And we'll see how extensive the U.S. attack is tonight, because it should be starting right now. Um, but instead of Iran waiting to get hit, they're now taking the initiative. They're initiating strikes.
Yeah. There, it seems that the United States, here some news that came out says the United States 12 F-16s fighter jets from Germany, they're sending them to the Middle East, to the West Asia, and 9 F-35 from the United Kingdom, and they're getting to the West Asia in order to
Yeah, so
escalate.
they had pulled those out, and now it looks like they're putting them back in. And then the key is, where are they going to be based? And that's why I think Iran's going to keep striking Muwafaq al-Salti and King Hassan, King Prince Hassan. I've heard different names for the air base in Jordan. I think that's the primary air base where they're operating from, and then relying upon KC-135 tankers coming out of Ben Gurion. So, uh, Iran can definitely escalate this in a variety of ways. If I was them, I would take out every fuel storage tank at Ben Gurion Airport. Take that out. Those damn planes don't fly. Real simple. Same at Muwafaq al-Salti and the King Hassan Air Base in Jordan. And then continue to just wipe out the two major military installations in Kuwait, the two major military installations in Bahrain, and then take out Al Udeid and Qatar. And that leaves UAE.
Yeah. It seems that the casualties so far is going to be 16. U.S. service members have been killed and 430 wounded. And this is based on official statements by the Trump administration. What is your assessment of these numbers?
No, I think they're lowballing them. They're trying to downplay it, and that's going to be the other thing that's going to cause Trump to seek a new ceasefire. He's going to come back to the table and be begging and pleading. Oh, we need a ceasefire. Can't continue doing this. But you look at the combination of the oil price. It is, that's. Let's see, where are we at now? Yeah, you're up to 88, almost $89 for Brent. Almost 83 for West Texas Intermediate. Those are big numbers. In fact, when I went to the gas station today, while I was filling my car up with gas, the price of gas went up 2 cents. Just standing there.
Last night, the whole region in the Iraqi Kurdistan was on fire. And it was the whole mountain was on fire. And there you see the secondary explosions happening. And it seems that they hit many of these depots in Iraqi Kurdistan, which basically are used by Kurdish people. I don't know if the United States has been using those depots to attack.
Well, CIA has, I'm sure. I mean, it's primarily Kurdish, but it'd be CIA. It's going to be a covert operation, not overt, not hanging a U.S. flag out there.
Yeah. The international oil companies in Iraqi Kurdistan have decided to pause production, effective immediately because of the escalation that is happening in the region. And they're saying that they're going to get somehow out of the region until everything gets back to normal. And these are American companies there.
Which ones do they say? Chevron,
It didn't mention the name of
Exxon?
it didn't mention it.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna check it here to find the name. But the escalation, Larry, when it comes to let's assume they're sending these F-16 and F-35 to the region, and then what would be the plan? It's gonna be all aerial bombardment of Iran. It's gonna be limited to the southern part of Iran, to the western part of Iran.
but it depends on where the planes take off from. So, I think one of the reasons that you've seen the strikes confined largely to the south is that they were because the aircraft were from aircraft carriers. They weren't from Muwafaq al-Salti. I mean, I'm sure there had been some combat aircraft in there, but I think the majority of the attacks were being carried out by carrier-based aircraft.
The United States yesterday was trying to isolate the city of Bandar Abbas. They hit 7 yesterday and the day before. It was all about trying to destroy all this connection with this city, all around the city. But here is one of the footages that shows because I know the geography of the region. It's impossible, quite impossible, to isolate the city. Here is one of the videos here showing that bridge was hit here, and you see how they're using an alternative, sort of path.
Well,
And
it's not the rainy season right now in Iran, is it?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's hot. It's too hot, and there is because the rain is not common in that part, in the southern part of Iran. It's too hot right now. It's summer, and there would be no rain, so they're not going to have any sort of problem anytime soon in the next 6 to 9 months. They're not going to have. So basically what they have been trying to do to disconnect, because the city is strategically important for the Strait of Hormuz, because this naval base is in Bandar Abbas, one of the
Right.
yeah. Then by ISIS, I don't know who's advocating for that, because it's amazing to me the way the geography, looking at the map, topography of the map, and you see in the city and around the city, you hit the targets. These bridges were built long time ago because of the rain, because of the rivers, but because so far the drought, that Iran is dealing with drought, and that's why you don't see any sort of water passing through or under these bridges. So there would be no problem for Iranians to use the alternative routes.
Right.
Then
well, I said it's not like there's one critical electrical, military, economic node in Iran, or even 5 critical nodes. And if you take those out, Iran collapses. No, Iran's a big country. It's got redundancies. So it's not going to be that easy. It does not say this is not damaging to Iran. It is damaging. But Iran is causing, really, I think, as much damage and worse to the U.S. military forces that occupying these different bases.
Do you think that the moment that the Trump administration says that let's look at what these countries are talking about, and UAE just said we're not gonna let's de-escalate. UAE, which is so close to Israel, but Israeli media today said they are preparing for war, for escalations, and even one of the the correspondents of
They Israel, or they UAE?
Israel.
Okay.
UAE wants to de-escalate. That's obvious with the statement just moments ago I read for you. But Israel is happy with the escalations. And to Channel 14, one of these reporters of Channel 14 said today he's so happy that there are casualties on the part of Americans, because that could lead to some sort of escalations on the battlefield between Iran and the United States.
going to lead to more U.S. casualties is what it's going to lead to. And, they'll have a choice to stay at those bases or vacate. And I believe ultimately they're going to start vacating. Maybe by next week after.
Yeah. Joseph Aoun is Lebanese President Joseph Aoun. He has arrived in Washington, Larry. One part of this battle is in Lebanon, and he's in Washington, and he's going to talk with Donald Trump. Benjamin Netanyahu going to talk with Donald Trump. They have their agenda. They have their plan.
Netanyahu's not going to Washington.
No, he's not going to. Then who's going to? Donald Trump going to go there to meet him? Because
What? Israel?
They were planning a meeting.
They were planning a meeting on Monday,
yeah.
and Netanyahu has decided not to go. So they may have been planning to try to get some announcement with respect to Lebanon, but Netanyahu, for whether he fears that the war is going to escalate and Israel is going to be taking the shots. I'm not sure why he didn't go, but he didn't go.
Maybe because of the escalation, because they're planning for
escalate. Yeah, that's one possibility.
Yeah, and then Iran going to respond. I don't know what would be the response to these escalations, because at some point they're going to run out of targets. And then what would be that? Are they going to destroy everything in these GCC countries, or they're going to hit some strategic targets?
So when you say, to be clear, who's they? They are going to run out of targets.
I'm talking about Iranians. At some point, they're going to run out of targets.
No, they're not. No, I mean, it'll be 3 or 4 months before they exhaust targets in the Gulf. They're going to destroy every inch of those military bases so they can't be inhabited again. So that, they'll just strike night after night after night. And eventually the U.S. is going to have to abandon those air bases.
Joseph Aoun is going to meet with Secretary Rubio on tomorrow. He's going to talk with Rubio tomorrow. And on Tuesday, he's going to meet with Donald Trump. And
so he's meeting with Rubio on Sunday?
Tomorrow,
Sunday.
Sunday. And on Tuesday, the day, on Tuesday, he's going to meet with Donald Trump. What is he seeking for? I don't know what is the cable. How?
Well, he's got promises and assurances from the United States for protection. And then one assess, okay, where is it? Where did the U.S. promise them Patriot missiles? Did they promise them additional military support to take on Hezbollah? I don't know. But that could be the kind of thing he's wanting to get nailed down.
Yeah. Two important, Larry, attacks. We had the attacks in the Persian Gulf as well. It seems that they have mined the southern part of the strait. Was that confirmed in your opinion, or because we had some reports about some areas that were mined and these tankers were hit by these mines? I don't know if Iran has mined the southern part of the strait.
Where else would the mines have come from? I mean, are you suggesting they came from someone else? Who would that someone else be? What other country? I think this is, for Iran, it's just easier to mine the strait. That way you don't have to waste any surface-to-air missiles or cruise missiles, anti-ship missiles. You can just let the mines do their work, and they're as effective, if not more effective.
CNN reported that the Trump administration has tentatively agreed to allow Saudi Arabia to enrich uranium for its civilian nuclear program under a draft U.S.-Saudi nuclear deal awaiting President Trump's signature. And this is not going to be under IAEA. It's going to be something different, just between the United States and
Right.
Saudi Arabia. I don't know, how does Israel feel about it? Are they going to
Well,
let him?
they're probably not happy about it, but Donald Trump's obviously not calling them up and saying, "Hey, is this okay with you?" He's doing his own thing.
Is that it's the civilian? What do they want to produce? It's about the energy. It's about power. They're gonna,
I'm not that familiar with the Saudi nuclear program.
yeah, because they don't have
So,
it. If
uh,
they're not
they
that
don't.
advanced when it comes to the nuclear program.
Yeah, do they have a nuclear power plant?
I don't know. I know nothing about the nuclear program of Saudi Arabia. It seems that the United States wants to start that as the case, for example, the case that Iran has in the southern part, in the city of Bushehr, which was started by Russians, 40 years ago, something like 40, more than 40 years ago.
Oh,
I assume that they're going to start the same thing in Saudi Arabia together with the United States.
so the Saudis don't have any operational nuclear power plants. So how are they going to do enriched uranium?
It's going to be all from scratch, and because they don't have anything right now.
Well, so they're going to have to. They got plans apparently to build a facility, but that's not going to be ready for 2 years at least. So uh, this is just what I call blue sky. It's a plan. It's going to happen, but it may never happen.
And when they're talking about, because whenever we're talking about the Iranian nuclear program, and Iran may produce nuclear weapons, it says if Iran does that, then Saudi Arabia and Turkey want to do the same. But you have to have the knowledge. It's not just going to be overnight to go after that.
Well, right. But that's where your scientists become export. Iran can send them to Turkey. Maybe both as a way to build trust and to build an obligation, a debt.
Do you feel, Larry, that if Donald Trump says tomorrow, I'm going to stop, I want to talk again, are Iranians going to get back with the same?
No, I was
agenda?
happy to hear in your conversation with Professor Morandi, and I think exactly the same. Iran's going to say, "Oh, whoa, wait a minute. We're not going back to like it was before. We're going to deal with the current reality." So current reality is you promised to unfreeze assets, but you kept finding an excuse not to. So you're going to have to unfreeze some assets and turn that money over to us now before we do anything else. That's one possibility. The other is, full lifting of the blockade and the sanctions, and get the easiest sanction removed right away. Well, maybe involve other countries. Now they're going to ask for a lot up front, and that Israel is going to get the hell out of southern Lebanon.
I somehow doubt if Donald Trump wants to escalate to the Iranian energy facilities and, maybe power plants, because that would be hugely devastating for all of these GCC countries. I would assume that that's going to put a lot of pressure on the oil market as well, because Iran going to hit some significant targets in these countries that would, even opening up the Strait of Hormuz, would not help in any way the oil market.
Well, I mean, it's going to be the oil market that's going to determine Trump's timeline. So the price, like right now, the price of diesel is about $2 here in the States, $2 higher a gallon than regular gas. And that's because the diesel's produced at a different refinery and it relies upon this heavy crude. And there is a global shortage of heavy crude. I've gotten irritated. I'm just getting grumpy in my old age. I've had some people write in, well, you didn't talk about Canada and Mexico and Venezuela. And I go, yes, screw you. Yes, I did. And if you listened, folks, I've explained Canada, Mexico, and Venezuela cannot make up the gap. Okay? Wake up, world. There is a gap. The amount of sour crude coming out of the Persian Gulf was not just some extra luxury that, oh, good, we got some excess. No, it was a critical part of the global energy picture. It has been now cut off for 5 months. Really, okay, let's say 3.5 months, because the tankers that were filled and left the Gulf on the 28th and got out, 28th of February and got out, they reached their destinations all floated. Okay, but at that point, in early April, the shortage started. And there's been nothing since then other than this brief 2-3 weeks where some oil got out of the Persian Gulf, made its way to Asia. You know, I think 95% of it went to Asia, if not all. So the diesel and aviation fuel, that's the problem. Wake up, people. There is no alternative to that. It can only be made with this heavy crude. Well, no, that's not true. You can make it from light crude. Yes, you can, but those refineries are being used to make regular gasoline. They're not set up and designed to produce diesel and aviation fuel. So, God Almighty, this is, people wake up. This is what's going on. Sorry, I'm grumpy.
I talked with Mark Sloboda, Larry, and we were talking about the situation in Russia as well, because the oil from Russia is so important for the market. They're 11% of the oil, of the energy. And it seems that despite having all these difficulties of Ukrainian drones, Russia has adopted to be patient, continue the war of attrition instead of attacking drastically one of these countries in Europe or other. The perception on the part of Mark was this, that Russia going to continue. The only way that all these propaganda machine that is working 24/7, it's all about forcing Russia to do something differently from what they have been doing so far. It means that attacking some of these countries, NATO countries, that may bring some sort of escalation.
Yeah, did you see Stanislav Kripivnik, Stas? He posted a video. So he's driving around Moscow, and then he drives around some other parts of Russia. And he said, oh my God, here, look at all these cars that are abandoned. They ran out of gas. Look at all the lines at the gas stations. And meanwhile, he's videoing it real time, and there's no lines, there are no abandoned cars. There's a traffic jam because everybody, we're going, it was like rush hour going to one way. I mean, it was just, he was being sarcastic that if you read the Western press, you come away with the impression, oh my God, Russia is in serious, serious problems. They're losing. They're out of energy. They don't have enough gas. They're having to import. They're at the end of the rope. And it's not true. In fact, what Russia has done over the course of the last now 2 weeks, they have stepped up their attacks on all possible, both fabrication, industrial facilities. They in any way could be involved with drones. They're attacking warehouses where those drones are stored. They're attacking operation centers that operate and try to direct those drones out. They've shut down. They basically closed Odessa port. For the last previous 4 years, going back to 2022, when the war started, and Alexander Mercouris did a great job of discussing this. the other day. I encourage folks to go listen to him at the Duran. Pointed out that the UN and other countries came begging the Russians, please don't interfere with the exports of grain out of Ukraine. And Russia said, oh, okay, we'll leave them alone, provided they leave us alone. Well, Ukraine didn't leave them alone. They started attacking, and they've been attacking U.S. grain ships and others over the last 4 years. And so Russia has now reached the stage where they said, Niet, no more. This is done. We're not doing that anymore. So they're hitting any ship that's inbound to Odessa, it's getting hit. Any ones that are there in port, they're getting hit. And the ships with the insurance are going to say, whoop, war zone, we're not going to go there. So effectively, Russia's going to shut down Odessa and Nikolaev. And when those are shut down, that's going to be another dagger in the heart of Ukraine's economy.
How do you find, Laurie, the current situation with the air defenses in Jordan, for example? It's one of the most important ones because I think...
What? Wait. What air defenses?
Patriot system, if I'm not mistaken, PAC-3 is in Jordan.
I return to my question. What air defenses? Okay, you can see the videos. There are 4 missiles fired up. Actually, 6 missiles on this one video. I don't know if those are PAC-3s or Roman candles or what, but they all fly happily off and do nothing. And then come 2 missiles. Boom, boom. They have no air defense. The Patriot system has been exhausted. If there are a few hundred left, they've got a few hundred left, and those will be quickly exhausted because, as we saw in that video, they fired at least 4 to 6 of these missiles. If those are PAC-3s, well, they're done, and they didn't do a thing to stop the inbound missiles. So that's why I'm saying, you talk about air defense. What air defense? They have no air defense. That's why